everybody, it's Michelle again, and I was reading a little while ago Junie B. First Grader Cheater Pants, and we read chapters 1 and 2, and let's get started on chapter 3. Chapter 3 is twitching. Finally, we got to the row right next to mine. That is where Jose and Lenny sit. When Jose's turn came, he smiled very proud. He said on Saturday his daddy bought him brand new soccer shoes, and he wore them to his soccer game, and he kicked the winning goalie with those things. Lenny went next. He said he got brand new hair gel, plus also he got a thickening cream. A thickening cream can make even the thinnest hair feel rich and full, he said. Whoa, I said. Whoa, said Herb and Jose. Whoa is what we say to be supportive. May sits behind Lenny. She stood up, and she read her paper real loud. This weekend, one thing I did for fun was, on Saturday, I made a pot in my pottery class. And after that, I was punctual to my ballet class. And the teacher said I danced like a gazelle. Mr. Scary did a chuckle. A gazelle, huh? He said. A gazelle is a very graceful animal, isn't it? Yes, said May. Would you like to see me do a few steps? After that, she ran to the front of the room and she started to ballet. But Mr. Scary said to please sit down again. As soon as she got back, I jumped right up. My turn, my turn, I said real thrilled. I tapped on my chin. Okay, well, let's see now. On Saturday, my grandpa Frank Miller came to babysit me, and he let me roller skate in the house. Plus also, he let me jump on Mother's bouncy bed. Only pretty soon I got very pooped. And so I ran into the kitchen and I drank chocolate milk right out of the carton without even a glass, I mean. Whoa, said Herb. Whoa, said Lenny and Jose. Mr. Scary raised his hand to interrupt me. Excuse me, Junie B., he said. It seems like you had a great time on Saturday. But I'm wondering why you're not reading from your homework paper. Just then, my heart got poundy and nervous, 'cause I should have thought about that problem. I swallowed real hard. Well, let's see, I said. Why aren't I reading? Mr. Scary smiled. It's all right, he said. You can start over. Just take out your paper and read us what you wrote. After that, I stood there very frozen. And I couldn't even move. You do have a homework paper, don't you, Junie B.? He asked next. I stood there a little while longer. Then finally, I reached into my desk, and I pulled out the homework I copied from May. I waved it in the air, kind of weakish. Here it is, I said. Here's my homework paper. See it? It's right here. Mr. Scary nodded. Well, yes, good. Now, could you read it for us, please, he asked. I took a deep breath. Then I looked down at my paper, and I read it silently, to just myself. Okay, done, I said. After that, I quick sat down, and I stuffed the paper back into my desk. Mr. Scary came back to where I sit, and he said, could he please see my paper? I felt shaky and sickish inside. Very slow, I took out my paper again and I handed it over. And he read it and he shook his head. Then he took my hand and he walked me into the hall. It seems that you and May had very similar weekends, doesn't it, Junie B., he said. I did a gulp. Yes, I said, it does. Mr. Scary read my paper once more. So, you take a pottery class too, do you, he said. I rocked back and forth on my feet. Yep, I do, I said. I take a pottery class, and I make little, well, you know, pots. Mr. Scary breathed real deep. And let's see, you take a ballet class too, huh? And gee, what a coincidence. On Saturday, your teacher said you danced like a gazelle, I said very fast. A gazelle, he said. Whatever, I said. My teacher sucked in his cheeks and looked at the paper again. And you were punctual too, he said. That's amazing, isn't it? I looked up at him. Well, you know, not if you get an early start, I said real soft. Mr. Scary bent down next to me. His face was not jolly. Junie B. Jones, do you have any idea how disappointed I am in you right now? Just then tears came in my eyes, and I didn't even expect that trouble. I quick hung my head so he couldn't see. Sorry, I said. Sorry you're disappointed. And here's Mr. Scary, bent down next to Junie B., very disappointed in the fact that she has copied her paper. He's very upset, because it's wrong to copy someone's paper, isn't it? Mr. Scary took a big breath. He said we would talk some more at recess. Then he gave me a tissue from his pocket, and I wiped my tears. After that, we went back into the room. I sat down at my desk, very slumping, because what do you know? I did not luck out after all. Okay, chapter 4 is Cheater Pants. It's still dumb Monday. Dear first grade journal, right now it is recess. I am not playing on the playground. Instead, I am sitting at my desk and I am waiting to get yelled at. I wish I could disappear into thin hair. If I could disappear, I would run outside and I would find May and I would clunk her on the head. I wish I didn't even sit next to that girl, because people should never leave homework on their desk for other people to borrow. That is just asking for trouble, mister. Mr. Scary was writing at his desk. He looked up and called my name. Junie B., he said, I'm ready for you now. Could you bring your chair up here, please? My stomach flipped and flopped, 'cause here came the yelling part, that's why. I did some deep breaths. Then I pulled my chair to the front of the room and I sat down next to him. Mr. Scary took my homework paper out of his drawer. He set it in front of me, very serious. I want you to explain this, Junie B., he said. I want you to tell me exactly why you copied May's homework this morning. I tried to swallow, but nothing went down. Well, let's see. The reason I copied was, well, I tapped on my chin. Then, all of a sudden, I thought of it. Daddy, I said. It was my daddy's fault. My teacher looked surprised at that answer. Your daddy, he said? Your daddy told you to copy May's homework? Yes, I said. No. Last night I wanted to stay up late to do my homework, but Daddy turned out my light, and so he's the reason that I had to come to school without it. Oh, I see, said my teacher. Your daddy wouldn't let you stay up, so that's what forced you to copy May's paper? I nodded real fast. Yes, I said, that's exactly it. Mr. Scary raised his eyebrows. So did May actually give you her paper to copy? He asked next. I rolled my eyes right up at the ceiling at that crazy question. No, silly. May would never be that nice, I said. It's just that this morning she kept on bragging about how her homework is always an A+. And then she left the paper right on top of her desk when she went to the office. And that is just asking for trouble, mister. Mr. Scary leaned back in his chair. Ah, he said. So when May left for the office, you just saw her paper and you just decided to borrow it, I said. I decided to borrow it to copy. My teacher did a frown. Borrow, he said. No, ma'am. I'm sorry, Junie B., but borrow is not the right word at all. When you copy someone else's paper, that's called cheating. My eyes got big and shocked at that word, 'cause what was he even talking about? No, Mr. Scary, no, I didn't cheat. I didn't, I said. Cheating is when you steal answers off someone's test, but homework isn't a test. Homework doesn't even count, hardly. Oh, but homework does count, Junie B., he said back. Cheating is not just about stealing test answers. Cheating is any time you take someone else's work and you present it as your own. He looked at me. When you cheated this morning, you broke my trust in you, Junie B., he said. We have a rule about this in room 1. And here's Junie B. telling Mr. Scary what happens. And Mr. Scary does not look very, well, he just doesn't look happy, does he? All right. We keep our eyes on our own papers. You've heard me say that 100 times, I bet. I felt surprised at that information. That's a rule, I said. No kidding? It's not a suggestion. It's definitely a... Mr. Scary rolled his eyes. No, Junie B., it's not a suggestion. It's definitely a rule, he said. It's an important rule, too. I drummed my fingers on the desk. Well, I'll be darned, I said. After a while, I did a deep breath. I'm sorry, I said real soft. Mr. Scary smiled a little bit. I'm sorry too, Junie B., he said. But at least now I think we understand each other better. I will not put up with cheaters in my classroom. I did a wince. Yeah, only I wish you wouldn't keep saying that cheater word, I said, 'cause I didn't even know I was cheating hardly. Plus, I don't like cheaters. On account of my daddy cheated me at Old Maid last week, and I am still not over that terrible experience. Mr. Scary wrinkled his eyebrows. Your daddy cheated, he asked. I did a sigh. Yes, I said. Daddy raised the Old Maid way high in his hand so I would pick her. And then I did. And so what kind of sneaky trick was that? Mr. Scary covered his mouth. He was shocked, I believe. I leaned closer to him. And Daddy is not the only cheater pants in my family either, I said. On account of my grandpa, Frank Miller, is supposed to be on a diet. But yesterday, my grandma found an empty pie pan in his closet. And all that was left was a little bit of crust and a plastic fork. I thought for a second. No wonder I cheated, I said. Cheating is just in my blood, apparently. Mr. Scary did a chuckle. Well, nobody's perfect, he said. Everyone cheats on a diet once in a while, I think. But cheating at school is a very different matter, Junie B. Cheating in school is serious business. Are we clear on that right now? I nodded real fast. Clear, I said. Okay, so we read the first half of chapter 3. And we read the first half of chapter 4, and I'm going to run out of time. So shortly I'll read the second half of chapter 4, and I will see you later. Bye.